There is a plain white wooden box sitting at the edge of a hayfield in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. No paint, but whitewash. No wires, no gadgets, no thermometer on the side. Nobody has opened it in 3 weeks. And inside that box right now, about 40,000 honeybees are filling frame after frame of golden comb, doing better than plenty of hobby hives that started out with $500 of shiny equipment. The Amish farmer who keeps that box has a dozen more just like it standing along his fence line, kept the same way his father kept them, and his grandfather before that. No starter kit, no bee course that costs more than the bees, just a wooden box, a patch of clover, and a handful of old rules that have not changed in 100 years. Today, I am going to walk you through those rules, start to finish, so you can set up your first hive this spring for about the price of a decent lawnmower. But stay with me all the way to the end because the old Amish beekeepers hold one hard rule about the very first jar of honey. Follow it, and your bees come through the winter strong. Break it, and you are likely starting over in April. And the reason is not tradition. It is one specific thing bees do when the first hard frost arrives, and nobody at the bee supply counter ever explains it. I'm Gary Strickland. I'm 63 years old. I spent my working life as a carpenter, and for better than 30 years, I have kept the same quarter acre in the same Midwest neighborhood. Most of what I know came from old timers like my neighbor Earl, a World War II veteran who had the thickest lawn on the street and nothing in his shed but a rotary mower and a coffee can of grass seed. And when I got curious about bees a few years back, I did the same thing I did with the lawn. I went and found the folks who never stopped doing it the old way, and around here, that means the Amish. Pull up a chair and let me tell you something. Beekeeping did not used to be complicated. Bees kept themselves in hollow trees for a long, long time before anybody sold a starter kit. What the catalogs sell you today is mostly convenience and worry, stacked in a box with a big price tag. The Amish farmers I learned from spend their money on almost nothing, and their attention on just a few things done right: where the box sits, what grows around it, when to open it, and when to leave it alone. That is the whole system, and any one of us can follow it. And keep that first jar rule tucked in the back of your mind because we are coming back to it before we are done. The old way starts before you own a single bee. It starts with where the box goes. Walk your yard in the morning with your coffee and find the spot that catches the first sunlight of the day. The Amish set every hive entrance facing east, toward the sunrise, because bees do not fly until the hive warms up. Morning sun on the front door gets them working an hour or two earlier, every single day, all season long. Put something solid behind the hive, a fence, a shed wall, or a row of evergreens to break the north wind, and make sure there is water within about 100 feet. A bird bath with some stones in it works fine, so your bees do not go visiting the neighbor's swimming pool. Now, everything I know about keeping a yard the old way, the ground those bees will live on, is written down plain in a little book I put together called The Old Ways: 50 Forgotten Lawn Secrets from America's Greatest Groundskeepers. It is 104 pages of the small, cheap, patient tricks the old groundskeepers taught me over 30 years, written down before the men who taught me are all gone. Part 1 covers feeding the soil instead of the grass and handling weeds without the harsh stuff. And that matters double once you keep bees, because a sprayed yard and a healthy hive do not live together. The book is $17 right now, marked down from $47. One bottle of lawn spray costs more than that, and you buy the bottle every single year. That is the kind of math the catalog stopped doing for you. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, my friend, you have your sunny spot picked out. Now let's talk about the box itself. The hive the Amish use is the same one most of America uses, and it has a nice bit of history to it. It is called the Langstroth hive, and it was worked out in 1852 by a Pennsylvania pastor named Lorenzo Langstroth, who figured out the exact spacing bees leave between their combs. Every hive since is built around that one measurement. You do not need to remember the number. You just need to know the design is 170 years old, and the bees have approved of it the whole time. A basic setup is 2 deep pine boxes, 10 wooden frames in each, a bottom board underneath, and a simple flat cover on top. Plain pine, no fancy finishes. That runs about $150 from a bee supply house. 150, and that is the whole house your bees will live in for years. If you can run a saw, and as an old carpenter, I will tell you, these boxes are about the easiest thing I have ever built. You can cut that cost in half with a few pine boards on a Saturday. Whitewash or plain white paint on the outside, nothing on the inside. The bees finish the interior themselves with a thin varnish they make from tree sap, and they do a better job than we ever could. Skip the gadget wall entirely. You need a smoker, a hive tool, which is just a small pry bar, and a veil for your face. That handles the equipment. But an empty box is no good to anybody, so next comes the part folks worry about most, and it is easier than you think. Getting your bees the old way means getting them close to home. The Amish do not mail order bees from across the country. They get them from a neighbor, or they catch a swarm off a fence post in May. For you and me, the neighborly version is called a nucleus colony, and most folks just say nuke. That is a small starter family of bees, 5 frames with a laying queen already accepted and working, raised by a beekeeper near you. Look for a beekeeper within about 50 miles of your house. 50 miles because bees raised in your own county have already proven they can handle your winters, your springs, and your local flowers. Package bees shipped in from 1,000 miles south have proven nothing of the sort. A local nuke runs somewhere between $150 and $200, and it is spring money, so plan on ordering in February or March for an April or May pickup. Ask at your county beekeeping club, and yes, nearly every county has one, usually full of retired fellas who would talk bees with you all afternoon. Bring your nuke home in the evening. Set it beside your empty hive overnight. The next day, move those 5 frames into your big box, 1 frame at a time, nice and slow. That is the whole installation. Now the bees are yours, and here is where the Amish way really separates from the catalog way. The old rule for working bees is simple. Move slow and open the hive less than you think you should. Pick a warm, calm afternoon when the field bees are out working the clover and the hive is half empty. Puff a little smoke at the front door, wait a minute, and lift the cover gently. Your whole visit should take about 10 minutes. You are checking for 3 things only. Is the queen laying, which you can tell by patches of tiny white eggs in the comb? Do they have food, which is the shine of nectar and the white caps of honey along the frame tops? And is there room, meaning empty comb to fill? Then close it up. Once every week or 2 in the warm months is plenty. The Amish farmers I learned from check even less than that, and their hives thrive, because every time you crack a hive open, you set the bees back a day and chill the brood nest. The catalogs sell you worry, neighbor. The old fellas trusted the bees to know their business, and they gave the bees one more thing that most modern yards take away, which brings us right back to your lawn. The old Amish farmyard feeds its bees without anyone lifting a finger, and yours can too. White clover blooming through the grass, dandelions in April, a fence row of wildflowers left unmowed. That is a bee's grocery store. The dandelions you have been taught to hate are the first real meal of spring for a hungry hive coming out of winter. So, the year you get bees is the year you retire the weed and feed bags for good, because What kills a weed by the bag will reach the bees one way or another. Let the clover come back into the lawn like it was in every American yard before the 1950s, when clover seed came standard in the grass mix. Mow high, around 3 inches, and the clover blooms right alongside a thick green lawn. Your bees will work those little white flowers from your back door instead of flying 2 miles for lunch, and a bee that eats close to home builds up stores fast. And those stores are the whole story of the last two rules, because winter is where new beekeepers lose their hives, and it is where that first jar rule I promised you finally pays off. Winter preparation, the Amish way, happens in late September and takes one afternoon. Slide an entrance reducer into the front door, which is just a strip of wood that shrinks the opening to about an inch. 1 inch, so the hive can defend itself against robbing wasps and stay warmer. Tack a mouse guard over that opening, a small piece of hardware cloth from any hardware store, because a mouse in a winter hive is a disaster. Make sure that windbreak we talked about is standing between the hive and the north wind. And then hear this, because it surprises everybody. Do not wrap the hive up tight like a Christmas present. Cold does not kill a healthy hive. Moisture does. Bees make water vapor all winter, and if it cannot escape, it condenses on the cold lid and drips ice water onto the cluster below. A little top ventilation, a matchstick propping the cover, keeps them dry, and dry bees stay warm. Now the hive is buttoned up. There is just one question left, and it is the one I planted at the very start of this video. What about the honey? Here is the rule, plain as the old fellas gave it to me. You take no honey the first year, not one jar. And this is not tradition or superstition, it is arithmetic and biology. When the first hard frost comes, the bees do something remarkable. They quit flying, gather into a tight ball the size of a basketball, and shiver their wing muscles to keep the queen at about 90 degrees Fahrenheit all winter long. That furnace burns honey and nothing but honey, and in a northern winter, a colony burns through 60 pounds of it. 60 pounds, and closer to 80 in a hard year. Now, a first-year colony spends nearly its whole season building comb, and comb is expensive. The bees burn roughly 8 pounds of honey to make a single pound of wax. So, by their first fall, most new hives have built their house and stocked their pantry with barely enough, and nothing to spare. And here is the part nobody at the supply counter explains. If you take that honey in September and figure you will pay the bees back with sugar syrup, you cannot. Bees stop taking syrup once the days fall below about 50 degrees because they cannot dry it and cap it in cold weather. 50 degrees, and around here that door closes in October. Whatever is in the hive at frost is all they will ever have. Take the honey, and that shivering cluster runs out of fuel in February, quietly, while the snow sits on the lid. Leave it, and next summer that same colony, with its comb already built, will hand you 40 or 50 pounds of surplus honey without missing it. The old Amish beekeepers were never being modest. They were being patient, because patience is what the bees pay best. And that right there is exactly the kind of thing the old fellas taught me, the small rule with the big reason underneath it. My book, The Old Ways, has 49 more just like it for the lawn those bees will live on, laid out just as plain, from the soil secrets in part 1 to the drought tricks in part 3. $17 down from $47, and it saves you that much the first month you skip the bottle aisle. Now, go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So, there it is, neighbor. A sunny spot, a plain pine box, local bees, a slow hand, a clover lawn, and not one jar of honey until year 2. Did your dad or your grandpa keep bees or have a trick of his own for it? Put it in the comments below, because that is exactly the kind of knowledge that gets lost when nobody writes it down. And I read every single one. Next time, I am going to show you why the old groundskeepers never mowed shorter than 3 inches after the 4th of July, and what that one number does to crabgrass that no bottle can. Keep that lawn thick and green, my friend, and I'll see you over the fence.